don't stop short of the fantastic. Like, we don't need reality right now. What I want you to do is go way beyond what even you think is reality, because you don't know how far you might take it. And so what we encourage people to do is, we'll get a healthcare organization to say that they cured cancer, or a technology company to say, somehow they were able to solve poverty.
This episode is brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program. It's a program designed to help new and struggling sellers improve and take their skills to a whole new level. Get access to the first 2 modules absolutely free. Find more information at thesalesevangelist.com/free course. This episode is also brought to you in part by Sales Success Summit. This year's Sales Success Summit is held in Austin, Texas from October 14th through the 15th. Learn from the top 1%ers in sales what makes them succeed and how you can improve. Sign up today at top1summit.com. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a guest. His name is Josh Levine. For more than 15 years, Levine has helped build cultural-driven brands for Silicon Valley startup as well as major organizations. He is the founder of Cultural Lab X. And today we're going to have a really interesting discussion about your company and how and why you need to write your company's obituary. It's an exercise that Josh believes in, and I feel that this is something you can write as a sales rep for your territory as well. Let's dive into the conversation. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me, Don.
Man, I'm super excited to have you. I know we're going to have a good discussion today as we talk about this. When I first heard about it, I was like, that sounds morbid. And then when I started thinking more about it, I was like, holy crap, that's genius. And we're going to talk about today writing our own obituary for our companies and how this can help us. But before we dive into all that fun stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you? I bragged about you at the beginning of the show, Josh, but tell us a little bit more about what you do.
I appreciate that. So I am company culture strategist, and I work with technology, social enterprise organizations, small and large firms to help them really improve the kind of work that they and their teams do. And when we think about kind of the modern business, and especially with sales folks, I think in this case, you got to motivate those people, but there's only so much that kind of crushing people and saying, you got to hit those numbers is going to really get people to move in the right direction. So for, the way that I think about modern organizations is getting employees jazzed about what they're doing, seeing what understanding their why, getting everybody aligned on, how we're going to do this together, what that means. And, it really makes for much stronger relationships, higher trust, and deeper engagement.
Love it, man. Well, congratulations on all that you're doing. And also, you have a book that you finished up recently, right?
That's right. It's called Great Mondays. And it is essentially all of the learning that I've done in the past 10 years when it comes to advancing the idea of company culture as a strategic advantage. It provides a framework for folks. Most people, I'm sure you've come across this as well, think about, the idea of culture as being very fuzzy, kind of this soft stuff. And I think that's pretty common. So the book is really about putting some edges around that, defining what culture is, and giving people the tools that they need to improve their culture. What are the levers you need to pull? It's not just one of the things I say in the book. It's not just ping pong and pizza. And so it's really turning the idea into a strategic business advantage. It's a tool that we can use. And that's my belief. And that's what my book, Great Mondays, is really out there to share the message about.
That's sweet, man. We're going to link back into the show notes so folks can get access to that as well. And we can touch base about that a little bit later on. But let's dive into this whole idea of writing a company's obituary. Like, where in the world did you come up with that?
Yeah, well, it was something that I learned early in my career. I started out as a brand strategist, and it was a tool that one of my mentors used. And a lot of clients have that same reaction, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want our team to start thinking about the death. I mean, what do we hire you for? This is about the growth of an organization. But the way that, what it does is it really helps people reframe kind of what they do. And it's a really powerful tool. And I think just exactly like that same reaction of like, whoa, that's the power of it, right? It's like, whoa, let me shake you out of the day to day.
And the purpose of doing this is going to help us as an organization to pretty much figure out or rediscover our purpose, right? And to get that going.
Exactly. So your purpose is why you're in business beyond making money. And now I know that there's a lot of folks out there, especially in the sales organization. My brother is a sales guy, always has been. And so I hear about this all the time. It's like, no, the purpose, our purpose is just to move the product or sell the thing, right? But that's not compelling enough. It's like, why am I doing this? What are we getting up for, right? It's much more than just making those numbers. I can go sell anything to anybody. So we have to, we work with our clients to really hone in on, why are you guys in business? Yeah, of course you're making money. Like that's the goal, of course. But what we really want is to understand what we're trying to do with our company, with our business, and with our lives, really. I mean, we spend more time with folks at work, more waking hours than we do with our families. And it's like, we have that, we're spending that much time doing this thing. And, a lot of motivated folks in your audience, I work with a lot of motivated folks, they can do whatever they want. Really, they can, they can turn a buck doing whatever. This is about actually finding your own purpose, or, helping the organization discover its why.
So let's go through that. So how does that work? If somebody is sitting here and they're thinking, okay, we need to write our company obituary, how do we go about starting doing that?
Right. Well, so the way that I introduce it is, imagine it's 25, 35, 45 years from now. Your company closes its doors. Doesn't matter why. This is the moment we're shutting down. Okay. Your goal, what we want you to do, is write in 2 to 3 short paragraphs why your company will be remembered, what will be most missed. And by framing it this way, we have the opportunity, and we give one another, and I give my clients the ability to the permission, I'll say, to let go of the immediate, the fires and the trash cans and the quarterly results, and even, what's going to happen in the 5-year plan. I want to know at the end of the day, what did you achieve that made the difference? That's how we start. That's what we want people to think about. That's that shift. That's that paradigm shift of like, okay, I'm giving you the ability to just let go for a few hours of the immediate results that you're trying to hit. What are you trying to do for the world? And that is where you start to really get this going. Now, what we like to do is work with a board, executive team, leadership peers together. And they each kind of, depending on how many people, they'll team up as a team of 2 or 3. And it's nice because then you have the opportunity to kind of bounce some ideas back and forth. And we ask them to write it out longhand, because the real magic of this, Donald, is not necessarily the end result, although that's interesting. It's kind of the language, the words, the phrases that we use to get there. And once we have all those up on the wall, maybe we have a couple different versions of them. We read through them. We can look at them, even if your handwriting is messy. And we can say, and what we can do is we can mine the collective intelligence of the room. And we give everybody, I'm sure, folks have done this, or you have the power dot, you get the little dot stickers. And what we do, we say, look, find the word, phrase, concepts, ideas that really resonate with you. You get 5 dots or 10 dots or whatever it might be. And let's see what the room let's see what the room thinks. And you start to have a discussion around what those big ideas are.
Hey, I know Josh is tackling some very interesting discussion points here, and I want to get back to it. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Josh is going to continue and share with you how you can apply this to your role as a sales rep or as an entrepreneur. You're listening to the Sales Evangelist podcast, and I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. way too often we find sales reps who become lethargic in their career. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, you've been there too. You just go into the slump and you feel like you can't get out. You're not closing deals, no new opportunities. And it's just blah. What I've seen to help me at that point is obviously listen to podcasts like this, read books, but also attend events where I can connect with other sellers. People who could challenge me, people who could bring new ideas and new thought. And that's why I recommend everyone to check out Sales Success Summit. The neat thing about this event is that you get a chance to connect with other top 1%ers, people who are doing amazing in sales. Learn from them what's making them succeed, what's causing them to get out of their rut. How did they elevate to the status they're at right now in their companies? If you are serious about earning six figures as a sales rep, I highly recommend you go to top1summit.com. Again, top1summit.com and register to attend the event. Last year, one of the attendees, a sales rep for a small company, went to the event. He networked with other top sellers. Since then, he landed a position at Teradata where he closed a huge deal. Now he's receiving a multi-six-figure commission check from it. All because he went where iron sharpens iron. If you want to learn from the best, go to top1summit.com and register today. This episode is also brought to you in part by TSE Certified Sales Training Program. As a young seller, I didn't have it. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any help, and I had to figure things out on my own. Luckily, I was able to take part in a group training course. Not long after the course, I started to see a hockey stick in my sales performance, and I knew the stuff worked. So I started to talk about it and share the advice and ideas, and I said in the future, whenever I create something, it's going to be similar to that. And that's how we've designed TSE Certified Sales Training Program. To get the first two modules of the course for free, go to thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/free course. When you register and become a member, you will get the other 10 modules, as well as access to our community of other sales reps that you can connect with and join conversation with each week. Find more information again, go to thesalesevangelist.com/free course. Hey, we're back, and Josh is going to pick up where we left off, continue to share with you how and why you should develop your company's own obituary. So you have an understanding of this big idea. You understand all of this now. But one of the things I'm curious about now to think about it, what are some of the things that you've heard, top things from some of your top clients regarding that part of the conversation or that part of the exercise? Any cool things that you heard them share?
Well, so there's kind of two, what I want to encourage people to do. So I'll answer that question in two ways.
Sure.
One is, this is what I write in the book. One is, don't stop short of the fantastic. Like, we don't need reality right now. What I want you to do is go way beyond what even you think is reality, because you don't know how far you might take it. And so what we encourage people to do is, we'll get, a healthcare organization to say that they cured cancer, or a technology company to say, somehow they were able to solve poverty. And, of course that's like ridiculous. And we wouldn't put that up on our website if it makes sense, right? Like, it's like, the example I say is like, look, we've had people say, we want to build the first moon base, which maybe isn't so ridiculous anymore. Maybe 10 years ago it was pretty ridiculous, but now everybody's trying to be smart. But in any case, the point is, it's like, what are these, it's like small, medium-sized companies, they wouldn't put that. That's not, corporate language, but it is part of the obituary exercise. What I want you to do is go way out there. And through that, we can say, oh, interesting. So you guys were able to solve homelessness. How did you do that? Right. And you start to look at the links and the logic that the little teams come up with. And you can say, I think at the end of the day, it's not the solving homelessness or getting rid of cancer. That's the magic of it. It's kind of what the thought process is behind that and how you make that work. And you can start to see, that your technology is really about connecting communities together. And it's the communities that work together to solve homelessness or whatever it might be. And people, kind of emerges where it's like, oh, interesting. Okay. And that's where you start to see the answers come. So when we're thinking about some of the end result, like the difference, right? The first exercise is the obituary. The second exercise is defining your purpose. And so those are the answers that we want in the obituary. The purpose statement is inspiring people. Let's play a game. I'm gonna tell you a purpose statement, and you're gonna tell me what brand you think it is. Okay. Inspiring people, one cup, one day, and one neighborhood at a time.
Starbucks.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Got
Sweet.
It. All right. Number two. Improving the everyday lives of every person. A little harder.
Ooh.
Improving the everyday
life. You stumped me.
Yeah, IKEA. So if you think about IKEA, right, it's not like improving the lives of every person. It's the everyday lives where it's like kind of the everyday people where they're saying, look, we're going to improve your life by providing these very affordable, very highly designed goods. And, you can say, okay, great. Like I can get behind that. I can think about that in an interesting way. I'll give you another one. So a client we had previously here in the Bay Area, and this is kind of where I was able to kind of work a little bit of my full skill set in as a brand strategist. So there's a free credit monitoring service, really interesting platform called Credit Karma here in the Bay Area. Yeah. They asked me to come in and help with their values. And one of the things we had to do is define their purpose as well. Values are your how, your purpose is your why. So their purpose is to help people be their best financial self, help people be their best financial selves. And you can kind of see it's like, there's the karma piece, right? Where it's like my best self and it's the financial self. And what they told me, it's not just about credit monitoring. There's a lot of other stuff that they're doing. They want to expand. So we don't want to say, hey, make sure people get, an honest score. Like, who cares? That's not really interesting. But if you think, it's like, that's not going to get me out of bed in the morning, right? If I have to, catch an early plane for a sales meeting, you might, it's like, I'm going to help. That's the why. I'm working for Credit Karma. Credit Karma's business to help people be their best financial selves. And we're going to empower them to do that. And you can imagine the whole sort of messaging platform that falls out from underneath that, where it's like, it becomes this inspirational, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Yes, we make a lot of money from advertising, from credit cards, and Great. It's a great business model. But ultimately, that's what we want. That's what we want to do. Right. That's the goal of this. So that's kind of where we're thinking about when we think about how do you define your purpose. But you're not going to be able to define your purpose by thinking about, this quarter's returns or this quarter's sales numbers. It's just not that those two things can't necessarily coexist as you're discovering it. Once you have it, of course, but that's the idea.
And what I like about that too is that it is, I had a conversation with another guy earlier from Disney and we were talking about creating experiences, and it all comes back down to like the leadership being so intrinsically involved in that. The individual seller can't just do it alone. And I think that's the same idea with this. Like, as an individual sales rep, if the company is not on board with this, that those values and those purpose are not going to live. And I believe if you do these things, then as a natural byproduct with people having purpose, they're coming to work every day, sales can be overwhelming. It's an emotional thing, right? But when you can have that why behind what you're doing, then it makes it so much more different. And you come with that purpose. I guess that's what it really comes down to. And it's an inexpensive activity. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on software, this is a simple fix that you can do for any organization and go through an activity like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Simple, but not easy.
There you go. Oh, you said the same thing that he said.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. This is part and parcel of it. And it's really critical because at some point you're going to wake up. At some point in your own career, you either have had that moment or will have that moment. You're like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Every person in your staff, every salesperson, every entrepreneur, everybody's going to have that moment. They're like, wait, what am I doing again? Because I'm exhausted. I'm trying. I'm working hard. It's overwhelming, right? It's emotional, like you said. And so you better as a leader, you better get out ahead of that. Now, I would add, and I get this question a lot about like, well, what if my leadership isn't bought in, right? What you just said.
Yeah.
And that's a really common problem. This idea of culture or purpose is not a regular conversation that's happening, right? It's not assumed that this is part of the business context. So you're not going to get, not everybody's on board yet. I believe they will be. So what if you have leaders? What if you aren't, your group isn't able to connect to that leadership that has that vision? My argument is that you could actually create it for yourself and your own team. And you are able to change the culture. You are sailing it into the wind because there is a challenge, but it's not impossible. And for your own organization, for your own group, you can define your own purpose, even if the organization at large or the entirety of the organization doesn't have one. What is your own what is the purpose of the organization and your group in there? That is possible. You can go through the entire 6 components that I outline in the book. You could go through and you can define those. You can define your purpose. You can define your values. And as a leader, you can really help strengthen that team. And hopefully over time, as you can see your performance increasing, people are starting to look over and go, hey, what are you doing? Hey, Donald, what's going on your team? Your team's outperforming. What's happening over there?
Killing it over
That's
here.
Right. You're killing it. Exactly. That's when you can start to say, oh, well, we're really working hard on our culture. Like, what? What do you mean? And then there you go. At the end of the day, that's how it gets. It's not easy, but it is powerful once you get it right.
Man, so awesome. The other 4 components do you mind sharing what those are one more time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in my book, Great Mondays, I lay out 6 components for company culture. We talked about 2 of them today, one in depth. The first one is your whys, your purpose. The second one is values, those are your how. And then the kind of the track that you trace between those 2, that line, is behaviors. Behaviors are the center point of culture. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to adjust, get people to make better business decisions. So that's the first 3: purpose, values, behaviors. Now, the second 3 are about activating or operationalizing your culture. And that's recognition, rituals, and cues. Everybody knows about recognition and rewards, and it's been around for a long time. Problem is most organizations reward the wrong thing and they use the wrong thing to reward. So we got to get more companies to think about how do you recognize values-aligned behaviors and not necessarily outcomes only. Rituals are how we build and strengthen the synapses of culture. That's your relationships. If you want your culture to spread and those behaviors to be shared, that's what you need. And at the end of the day, you still got your emails and your quarterly returns, and you got to get everything, in line to make that sale. So we need to make sure that we continue to remind our peers and our reports why they're in business and get people back to the top of the pyramid. We did that with cues. Cues are physical and behavioral reminders of why we're here in the first place. And that's the 6 components.
Love it, man. Well, if folks out there, if there's one major takeaway you'd like folks listening to this who are considering getting their purpose and their value down, writing their obituary, what's one major piece of advice you want them to leave with?
I think that you got to be able to love what you do. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, like we said, but find something that you really believe in, and that's going to make it that much more worthwhile when you do succeed.
Awesome, man. Well, if listeners are out there checking this out, do you mind talking to about the book a little bit more and how they can go about getting access to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the title of the book is Great Mondays, How to Design a Company Culture Employees Love. You can find it on Amazon.com. You can also check out, we have a ton of resources if you want to find out more and actually download the supporting material for our purpose exercise, as well as all the other exercises that we have laid out in the book. You can download those for free at greatmondays.com. It's all there, and sign up for every month. We send out a little newsletter, 1 Minute Mondays, with a bunch of awesome, deeper case studies and all sorts of tools for those people who are building cultures that matter.
Love it, man. And if they want to connect with you, can they connect with you on any other social platforms as well, in addition?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. You can find me, Josh Levine, with a little lightning bolt, and at AKA Josh Levine around the rest of the social media sphere. I'm more than happy to connect and converse with folks that are interested in talking culture.
Awesome, man. Well, again, we'll put a link back to your show notes, to your book, and also to connect back with you socially as well, man. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm telling you, Josh brought some interesting insights with this idea of writing your company's obituary. I want you to write it, and I also want you to write one for your territory as well as a sales rep. It's a fun exercise. Take it in your sales study. You should set apart 30 minutes a day, at least, to improve your game and to continue to hone your craft. You're doing that listening to podcasts, but take some time to write some of these things down that you're learning. It will help you a lot. I know it will. Go back to the show notes, connect with Josh, find all the details there. The salesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1186. Again, the salesevangelist.com/the-word episode number 1186. And while you're there, check out Sales Success Summit. You will love this event. It's in October in Austin with some amazing sales leaders, people who are the top 1%ers. Find out what's making them stay on top. It's very educational and also informative. Also, check out TSE Certified Sales Training Program. We have a new semester beginning, and I would love to have you and your sales rep join. Find all the details again back in the show notes. We share all the stuff. We bring folks on like Josh because we want to help you. We know they can help you. We want you to find more ideal customers, have more meaningful conversations, build stronger value, and close more deals. But most importantly, we want to challenge you each and every single day to go out and do big things. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the episode today as much as I did. And if so, I ask that you leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you find fine podcasts. Also, if you haven't done so already, why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe? Show your friends, your colleagues how they can subscribe as well. I will greatly appreciate you doing that. Thank you. My birthday is in the month of August. That could be your birthday gift to me. A nice review and rating on Apple Podcasts. I would truly be grateful for that. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Jershino Bale. Our graphic designer is Mr. Desin Cunado. Our show note was created by the one and only Miss Rael. Our guest coordinator is Mrs. May Marr. Our podcast production manager is Mrs. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in the show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Sales Podcast Network.